So there was a poll conducted on my channel, and the question was, if English is your only option, which Latin country would you opt for as your plan B? That is obviously getting your citizenship, passport, etc. And this was based off of a report by Statista. It's regarding the English Proficiency Index for select countries in Latin America. So the focus is clearly on Latin America's and plan B options there. And if you look at this list, pretty interesting. It actually rates each of the countries with a score. Surprisingly, Argentina tops the list, followed by Bolivia, Cuba, Paraguay, Dominican Republic. So these were clearly the top choices, the top winners. And then the list goes on to Mexico, actually at the bottom. This was a very important poll because over 100 participants participated, including advanced members who shared their feedback and on-the-ground practical experiences in some of these countries. Let's first focus on the results of the poll. So the four choices clearly were Argentina, Bolivia, Paraguay, Dominican Republic, and I also included an others section because I knew there would at least be one or two other countries that would come up when we talk about English. And I'm going to deep dive into that. Also, towards the second half of this video, I'm going to discuss how you can obtain these options, right? Let's say you want to get an Argentinian option or a Dominican option or a Bolivian option. What are the different categories that you can look at where you can obtain a temporary residency or even a permanent residency and then immediately get your citizenship in the fastest amount of time? And there are timestamps in the video, so if you want to skip through, you can always skip. But this is going to be a very important video with a lot of good, rich information that will help you. So stick through till the end. So Argentina clocks in at 46%, clear winner of the poll, followed by Bolivia, which had very few votes. Paraguay, interestingly, had a 14 votes, so it's a runner-up, followed by Dominican Republic. And I'm going to read some of the very interesting comments here. And the first one here is by one of our advanced members, and it's Anonymous 6594. He says, Belize, English is the official language in Belize. Surprising, right? So if English is the official language of that Latin country, why is it not on that list? And why are we not discussing that? Well, there's something very interesting here, which Escrans, another member, who pointed out, and I'm going to read some very interesting insights that he's sharing from his time on the ground. And he says a country naming its official language English is one thing, but the communication practicalities on the ground in Belize are a bit more nuanced than that. So what does this mean, right? That being said, he says, quote, when I spent time in Belize, the locals were a mix of Spanish speakers that did speak a bit of broken English and native Caribbeans that speak a broad English dialect similar to that found in most Caribbean islands. Communicating with both is dissimilar to speaking with native tongue English speakers from, let's say, Canada or the US. And that's absolutely right. On paper, the official language could be something, but in reality, if that's not what is being followed, they speak different languages, then it isn't truly an English-speaking country for native speakers. The other interesting point by our other advanced member here, Crypto Nerd 91, says, surprised Mexico isn't higher on the list. Expect people to be more English speaking since a lot of American expats live in Mexico. That's right. The second part of this is absolutely right. American expats do move to Mexico. I get a lot of clients, the first choice, obvious choice from a lot of Americans, Canadians, and now even Australians are calling up for the Mexican option. The thing with Mexico is, don't forget that Spanish is really kind of the second language in the US. It's widely spoken. So a lot of Americans who actually move to Mexico already know Spanish. They've learned it in school. They've mastered the art. If there's one language that I would personally recommend that you learn would be Spanish. It really should be in your armory. Once you know Spanish, you can actually naturalize or use that to naturalize in half a dozen Latin countries with very, very solid passports. They're not going to give you citizenship easily without the Spanish requirement. environment. So Spanish is going to be a good investment in your future. In Mexico, unfortunately, yes, they should be more westernized, or yes, they should be speaking more English. But my personal experience inside of Mexico has been that they like their language, they promote their language. Even if they know English, they want you to learn Spanish and speak in Spanish, and that's what their preference is. They have safeguarded their interests. They don't want a foreign language to be used in their country. Fair enough, it's their country, their wish. Now, there are some other very insightful comments. One other thing I picked up from a lot of people was that Guyana speaks English as well. Yes, it does. The naturalization options, the residency options are quite slim and trim in Guyana. It's not the safest place on planet Earth, so a lot of people have those concerns, although I personally find it to be a very interesting country, just like Jamaica. In Guyana, the only one big attraction is that, let's say you're married to a Guyanese, then you have immediate options for naturalization, just like in Jamaica. Now, before we jump into how do you get all of these, right, if you aren't subscribed to my channel, make sure to turn on the bell notification and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the important updates, breakthroughs, and news breaks on my channel, because they all relate to residencies and citizenships. Argentina, it is very easy for naturalization. It is known to naturalize the most number of people. It's a very populated country. If the new presidential candidate, he's an extreme right-winger, if he wins the election, I'm telling you, a lot of people are going to consider Argentina as their second home. I'm going to cover this extensively, right? His chances, his impact on the political situation in Argentina. I'm very bullish on Argentina if this guy wins the elections. Yes, there's a slight issue with not being able to renounce Argentinian citizenship, but if you can bite that bullet, if you can adjust that in your life, then there could be something very interesting with a right-controlled country at this time. All right, let's talk about how do you get Argentina option. There are multiple options for various residencies in Argentina. If you're interested, you can always click the link in the description, book a call with us. We can discuss the different options and get you started. But the straightforward requirement is that you live in Argentina on the correct residency for 2 years, right? Just 2 years of time spent in Argentina, and you have the opportunity to apply for citizenship, for naturalization. Now, if you want to get the permanent residency, right, it's 3 years. Very interesting here, right? A contrast. Now, one would think, why does permanent residency take longer? Well, it does. It's Argentina, right? Permanent residency, 3 years. Citizenship can be applied after just 2 years. And there are some very flexible options for spouses of Argentinians, for people who have had children in Argentina. So a great country with a lot of dynamic options. The easiest residency option is through either the Rentista or the passive income route. 2K, right? The official requirement is much lower, but practically or realistically, if you earn 2K or more from certain qualifying income sources, then you can get your residency 2 years, and then you can actually qualify, be potentially eligible for applying for citizenship. We have attorneys in a lot of places that we promote, so you are well covered. The second option is Bolivia. Now, I've extensively covered Bolivia in a separate video in order to keep this short. Now, as Bolivia wasn't one of the biggest choices here, it's still, in my opinion, a fair getaway from a plan B perspective, not a vacation getaway, a getaway from a plan B perspective. It's that one country where if you're in it, I feel you're fairly protected. You have the privacy that you're looking for, not for the wrong things, for the right things. It's a great country. And if you've missed my coverage on Bolivia, you can always return and take a look at this video. This covers this entire country option in a lot of detail. All right, the next one is Paraguay. Paraguay has issues with the whole dual citizenship situation. It does not allow dual citizenship with all the countries. There are only a couple of countries that it has dual citizenship treaties with. This is a very good option if you want a flexible residency in place. Both options are possible. You can either get a temporary residency for almost free. You can watch this video. I've covered this extensively. If you're looking for the direct permanent residency, you actually want to get this citizenship, then there's a 70 to 75K option. You don't have to immediately invest this capital. You just got to commit it, right? You got to provide a statement saying that you are interested in doing this, and our attorneys in Paraguay take care of the whole process. You can directly jump onto the permanent residency. This is a tax optimized solution. So you have a territorial tax system in Paraguay, and that's why a lot of people are interested in this. And finally, I'm going to talk about Dominican Republic. Great country, small country. Punta Cana village is my favorite hangout spots. If you called me and you asked me, hey, what's the one area where you would feel safe in Dominican Republic, I would clearly tell you Punta Cana village. That area, the whole beach area of Punta Cana, is a pretty interesting area to be in. Relatively safe. A lot of visitors from the US, Canada, etc. In Dominican Republic, again, this is an almost free citizenship, right? A flexible permanent residency. What else can you ask for? The only criteria here is through investment. You're looking at 200K a condo. Maybe it's just a business with various business assets. You can structure this correctly. Our attorneys, we have two solid, strong attorneys in Dominican Republic who can structure this correctly. Once you structure your investments in Dominican Republic, this is not a donation. This is your money which you're parking in DR. And in return for that, you start off immediately with a permanent residency. You hang on to this residency, show some connections to the country, satisfy some minimum residency requirements towards the end, and then apply for citizenship in just a couple of years. This passport has some unique advantages, which I have covered in this video. So if you haven't checked this one out on DR, definitely return and take a look at this. It has access. The passport is not weak. It has access to Brazil, Japan, Russia. Your Western passports, right? Your American passport does not have all this access, so it's not a weak passport. It's an interesting complement to your portfolio of citizenship. So it's a very interesting play here. All right, I hope you like this coverage. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed and catch you in this next one.